This is very bad. I don't think I saw anyone do it like this. It's crazy, probably. If someone really does it like this, makes no sense. Hello guys, today we'll talk about clean code in Python. I found this repo that I think is very useful. It's based on a book. I've actually read this book. It's called Clean Code. It's not for Python, but the principles applies on every programming language, or at least every object-oriented programming language. So I think it's a very good read. And here is a summary, and we'll review this summary of the book and see what I do, and you can follow along and see what you do right and what you don't do, and maybe you should try to do that. This applies to Python 3.7 or a newer version. So let's get started. First we have variables, and we have an example of using meaningful names, and one good example and one bad example. This is the bad one, and I have to agree here, and this is a good example. Yeah, I guess it's very good. I should probably start using these things because right now I don't use them to specify the type of the variable. Yeah, in this case we have a example of bad function names. In this case I would probably just create a class as it's shown here. It's a lot more clean and easier to understand and follow. You also have to use searchable names. Yeah, I think that's pretty right. We are definitely going to read more code than we are going to write, because even if it's your own code, if you come back in a few weeks, you won't remember what you did and why you did it this way, so you'll have to read it again. Unfortunately for me, I am guilty of doing things like this, or maybe sometimes instead of this number I just use this, so I understand that there are seconds, minutes and hours, so I understand the time better. But sometimes I will just write it like this, and I have to agree with this way of doing things. I think it's a lot better and easier to understand. I guess I'm guilty of doing this too. I do this a lot of times, and here we have a better example. I think this is fine for most of the times, but here we have a good example. But I don't like to do it this way either, because I think it makes the regex a lot harder to understand, but maybe that's just me. Here it says that you should use explicit variable names, and I agree totally. This is a very bad way of doing things, and it's clear that these are locations or maybe cities. You could probably call them cities too. This is very bad. I don't think I saw anyone do it like this. It's crazy, probably. If someone really does it like this, makes no sense. Let's see about default arguments. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I am actually guilty of doing it this way sometimes, but I'm trying to use default arguments too most of the time. Okay, let's see. What about functions? You should have 2 or less arguments. I try to keep my argument as low as possible, but sometimes that's not possible, so I have a lot of time more arguments than that. I don't do it like this or this either. I think it might work sometimes, but at the same time, if it's only in one place, I think you are adding a lot of complexity to your code, so I'm not sure if this is the best way to go about it. And a lot of Python default library use more than 2 arguments, so I don't think you really have to follow this. Let's see more examples. No, I don't. No, I don't like any of them. So far, I think it's just a lot more complex. Of course, if you are going to use this, in this case, the menu config class in a lot of more functions, then you may use it like this, but at the same time you can just create a class called menu and that has a function create, and it will be still pretty good. But if you only use it once, I don't think it's worth it. You just make your code a lot more complex, and every time you call your function you have to do it like this. Function should do one thing, yeah, that I agree with, but at the same time I am guilty of not following it sometimes, and I guess this is a very good example. This example seems a bit more complicated. I think I like this one a lot more. Yeah, function name should say what they do. I totally agree with that, and most of the times I think I have good names for my functions, but I may be wrong, but at least I try. Function should only be one level of abstraction. So here we have a for, another for, and then we do something here, and we have something here and here. Something I remember from the clean code is that you can go only up to 2 tabs in your functions, if I remember it correctly. So in this case this is fine, but if you go beyond that you should probably create another function. Of course in this case we have 3 fors, so yeah, this could be broken up in more things. Now it looks more and simple because we have pass in every of these 4, but when we add the actual code it's needed here, it will look a lot more complicated. So I think it's good to split it up in more functions like this. I do this sometimes too, but I have to agree that you shouldn't do it. I will try to get better and stop doing it. Yeah, this is another good example that you should take in the parameters and use it like this instead of setting it to one variable. Again, this is too complicated in my opinion for just using it one time, but if you use person a lot in your code, then and you also have other info about it, then it may be okay to do it like this in my opinion. Okay, so they have some things that they are working on. I think it was a very good GitHub repo. Let's store this because I think it's very good. And that's about it. Please let me know in the comments what things you are following and what things you are not following, and if you are trying to improve it or if you disagree with anything. Also don't forget to like and subscribe. Less than 10% of the people watching my videos are actually subscribed, so if you are not subscribed yet and you enjoy my content, please subscribe. It will help me a lot and I will continue to make this kind of videos. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.